Hello there, friends. Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and I am just overwhelmed with excitement about this new year that's upon us and all the new books we're going to be reading and talking about. So excited. There are so many great new books on the horizon that I just cannot wait to get my hands on, and I can't wait to talk to you about them as well. But before that, I want to actually take today and actually the next couple weeks to talk about the best YA books that I've read in 2021. So this list is obviously going to be super subjective, right? I might say, hey, look, this book, and you're going to say, but I read that book and didn't think it was that great. Or I read this book and I think this absolutely should be on your list. And that's totally fine. Like I said, these are just the picks that I have that I think are the best ones that I've read this year, or this past year rather. And I think they're fantastic. And if you do think there's other books that I should have included that I didn't, or there's other ones, just feel free to email me or come into the library and we'll have a conversation. I love hearing about what books you guys loved and what you didn't love and what works and what doesn't work. It makes my day. So please feel free to do that. So this week I'm actually going to talk about the top 5 books, the top 5 YA books of 2021. Next week, I'm going to focus on a couple runners up because I'm going to be honest, it was really hard to narrow it down to just 5. I read over 500 books this past year. Wow. Yes, absolutely. I am insane. So it was really hard for over 500 books to bring it down to just 5. So I'm going to feature a runners up category next week as well. And there are books that I absolutely loved, but maybe just didn't make it to the very top of the list. And then the following week, I'm going to talk about my top 5 favorite graphic novels of 2021 because I read a lot of manga, I read a lot of graphic novels this past year, and so much of it was amazing. But today, top 5 YA books. A lot of these are books that I've actually featured in other videos before, so I'm not going to go into super long descriptions of each one, but basically why I think it belongs on this list and why it resonated so much for me. Because for me, when I'm deciding what books are my favorite or which ones I think are the very best, it doesn't necessarily have to be a book that is the best written, although that definitely is a wonderful part of it, but it has to be a book that resonated with me. It has to be a book that made me feel something and that I'm still feeling it however long it's been since I've read it. And these books definitely fit that category. So, first one, number 5 is This Poison Heart by Kalynn Bayron. This Poison Heart. I really loved this book. I didn't really catch a lot of the hype for it when it was first coming out, but when I first read it, I was just entranced. I was obsessed with it. It's so good. Think of a mashup of Greek mythology with black girl power, and think of this main character, Briseis, as like a black poison ivy, because that's basically what she is. This book has everything. It's got this creepy old gothic house. It's got this mysterious town. It's got this girl who has this power over plants. She can make plants grow, and she's got this affinity with plants. She's got this mysterious backstory that she doesn't even know exists. And there are so many different things going on with the story. It's really unique, really well written. And the family dynamics in it are really fantastic too. Like just some of the best, absolute best family dynamics and found family dynamics that I've read. It's so good. This Poison Heart. And the next book in the series comes out this summer. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. This Poison Heart. So that was book number 5. Book number 4, Lycanthropy and Other Chronic Illnesses by Kristen O'Neill. Yeah, just wanted to make sure I had that right. Kristen O'Neill. This is another book that took me completely by surprise in that I wasn't really expecting anything when I went into it. I just thought that it was a cool cover, and I thought that it looked really neat and sounded interesting, and it blew me away. Absolutely, hands down, love this book. So this is a book about a girl named Priya who is just starting college at Stanford in California when she gets Lyme's disease, which is a disease that affects people differently, but in her case, she has to basically take a medical leave of absence from school and move back home because it causes a lot of pain. It causes weakness. There's a lot that she can't do now that she was able to do before. So she's stuck now in this situation that is really not something she ever thought she would be in. And she feels very isolated from her family and her friends who are not experiencing this illness with her. So she joins this online sort of like message board for people with other chronic illnesses. And she ends up becoming really good friends with this one girl who she discovers her chronic illness is that she is a werewolf. So yes, she is an actual werewolf, and that is what she's dealing with. And it's a hilarious premise, and this book is so funny. I laughed out loud so much while reading it. In fact, I would say probably out of all these books, this one has the best dialogue ever that I've read. It's just so amazing. Fantastic story. But it also deals with some really interesting topics. So I don't know that I've read another YA book that dealt this perfectly with chronic illness and the stigmas around it, and the fatigue and just everything that a person goes through was something I never really thought about, being lucky enough to not have to deal with a chronic illness. I'm privileged. I go through my days and not think about this. And this book really made me think about it and changed my views on a lot of things. So I'm really grateful for that. Love it. And like I said, it's super hilarious. Love this book. Lycanthropy and Other Chronic Illnesses, coming in at number 4. So, number 3, and I don't know that I've actually talked about this one before on my videos, but Lore by Alexandra Bracken. Oh boy, I really love this book. This might have been one of the first books I read last January, and even throughout the year, I just kept telling myself, I know this book is going to still be in my top 5 because I loved it so much. So I did pick this up because of all the hype around it. Alexandra Bracken wrote the Darkest Mind series, which ended up being a movie, I think. I didn't see it, but the books I know were really good, but they weren't like my favorite. So I was like, all right, I'll try this because it has to do with Greek mythology. This book is amazing. And this is another one of those cases where there's a lot of different aspects, I think, that work together really well. So it's about this girl named Lore, and in this world, because of something that the Greek gods did way back in the day, they are forced every so many years, I think it's every 9 years, to walk the earth. And when they are doing so, the descendants of these different clans are able to kill them, and they are hunting these gods down, because if they're able to kill a god while they're walking the earth, they will gain like immortality and all these powers and things like that. So all these families are hunting all these different gods. Lore does not want to be a part of this anymore. Her family was all murdered in this, in this situation, and she just doesn't want anything to do with it, but she's drawn back into it this year. And this book is brutal. It's amazing. It's so good. If you like, this is like Percy Jackson, but like amped up, right? So it's got the competitive aspect of it, like from the Hunger Games, including the violence as well. But it's also got the Percy Jackson like adventure, mystery, and also just obviously the mythology of it too. This has so much mythology in it, Greek mythology. It's absolutely amazing. And it really kept me on the edge of my seat. This is one of those books that I just could not put down, and I just loved every second of it. Every page I read just really made me love it so much. So if you like Greek mythology, if you like thrillers that are action-packed and have some mystery in it, there's some romance too, mythology, try this book out. It's so good. Lore by Alexandra Bracken. Number 2. Book number 2. This was really hard because actually books number 2 and book number 1 were kind of vying for each other's spot, and it was really hard to decide which was going to be 2 and which was going to be 1. But after much deliberation, book number 2, Firekeeper's Daughter. Oh my gosh, this book is amazing. Blew me away. It might not have even been anything I decided to try other than I was really intrigued by the Indigenous author aspect, and I was really intrigued by how much popularity it's getting, not just out in the world, but in the library itself. I couldn't get my hands on this book for months and months and months because everybody had it on hold, and I had to order extra copies of it because it was just so popular. And I'm like, well, I got to figure out what this is about. and it's amazing. I know I talked about this not too long ago, so like I said, I'm not going to get into super big details about it, but it is about this, the indigenous community, actually in Michigan. It takes place in Michigan as well. So you've got an indigenous author and a Michigan native author. And basically it is a thriller slash mystery where the main character, Donis, is trying to help her reservation and her community by trying to go undercover and figure out what is going on with this drug ring that's going on. There are a lot of really brutal things that happen in this book. There's a lot of trigger warnings that probably should be associated with it. But the writing is just, it blew my mind. This book is so well written, and it brings a lot of things to your attention, particularly in the case of the indigenous communities that I hadn't known about, before. And this book is just amazing. And also it's just a really good story. I couldn't put it down. It's over 500 pages, almost 500 pages. And I just could not put it down as soon as I started it because it was so good and I had to know what was going on. And if Donis was going to make it out okay. So that is Firekeeper's Daughter. Fantastic, phenomenal book. Absolutely worth the hype. All right. We're down to the nitty gritty now. Number 1, my top favorite, hands down, YA book that I read in 2021. Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades by, and I know I'm going to butcher her name, Faridah, Abike-Iyimide. And what I found out after reading it, which is even more impressive to me, is this author is very young. I think she's just began her first year of college or something like that. This book is fantastic. So it's very much a combination of the movie Get Out and Gossip Girls or Pretty Little Liars. So you've got this mystery scandal surrounding this elite boarding or private school that these guys go to. You've got Devon and you've got I can't remember her name, Chiamaka, right? So they're the only 2 black students that go to this elite school, and they have to work really, really hard to, maintain the respect and the elite level that they're at in this school. And there's this person who keeps leaking all this information about them and trying to turn the students against these 2, and they have to try to figure out who it is, why they're doing this. Is it related to them personally? Is it a race-related thing? The mystery surrounding this book is so freaking good. Let me just tell you, I could not stop. I could not stop. I was obsessed with this book. I got about 50 pages into the library copy before I immediately ordered a copy for myself because I thought, I need to own this book. I don't care. It's fantastic. The ending completely blew me away. Was not expecting it at all. Thrillers / mysteries sometimes don't make it onto my favorite list of things just because that's just of my reading preferences. But this one absolutely did. So good. So good. If you're looking for a really great thriller, a great mystery to sink your teeth into, Ace of Spades. Phenomenal. Hands down my favorite YA book of 2021. Well, that's what we've got for you guys today. I hope that some of these books sound really interesting and awesome. If so, please feel free to come and get them from Farmington Community Library. Like this video if you watched it and enjoyed it. I would really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with some more wonderful books from 2021. Have a great day, friends.